1.8 seconds. Charles Barkley.
Johnson around his man, drives, he scores.
Chambers scores. So Lamar Jackson just what a defensive effort that time.
Crowder looking for the alley-oop. He puts it down. Kevin Durant breaking out the elite with a long one, won't get it. Long rebound. Finds Booker. This is
Welcome back in Planeteers. I am Fallen Founder. So glad to have you guys here as we are about to visit the Great North. Going deep into Canada with our main man, Jericho, also known as Will. That's his real name, folks. And yeah, Hamo's going to be joining me. As you all might recall from last week's episode, Kevin is taking a little bit of a sabbatical. He'll still be in the Sensual Salutes when you want to go see him for post-game recaps. But otherwise, he is going to be rejoining us in January. So holding it down with us today is Will in Canada. And real quick, I'll turn it to Hamo just to say hi from Australia since it's, still nighttime there.
3 a.m. in the morning on Sunday. It's absolutely gorgeous. Glad to be back. It feels like it's been months since I was here. Had a charity bike ride last week, guys, so I had to take the day off to go help out some kids, which was a great day. But yeah, very excited to have my good friend Will here representing Canada. So hell yeah.
Well, and we're all really excited. Hamo's usually not allowed around other people's kids, but this was a special exception, especially when motorcycles are involved. So, I saw pictures of that, man. It looked like it was a great time, and glad some money was raised to help out.
Dude. It's basically a quick insight. It's called the I-98 FM Illawarra Convoy, and they raise money for children and families in need in our local area. And this year they managed to raise just over $2.6 million. So very excited and very happy to be part of that, which was, that money's going to go to good use. It's going to help a lot of people.
All right. Well, good. Well, Cheesy McShuttlenuts is worried about cultural appropriation. Absolutely. That's exactly what Hamo's doing as he pretended to be a Mountie, but we'll give him the okay as long as we get the local blessing on that one. I actually wanted to see him look a little bit more like Bret the Hitman Hart, but our producer said that might be a little bit difficult to put Hamo with such lustrous hair at this point. Let's do a quick welcome. We'll get into a bio later here, Will, but welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Doing fantastic. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the invite. Getting excited.
Well, tell us real quick before we get started then the jersey you got on, and there's a whole bunch of white stuff behind you. For the audio listeners, it appears to be snow of some sort, which is terrifying just about everyone else south of you.
I thought I'd give you guys a visual in the background. Yeah, it's been winter hit here about a week ago, finally. So we were blessed that it only took about till now. But yeah, we're about minus 11 Celsius, which is 12 Fahrenheit.
Ooh,
and
crisp.
So you can see it behind us. So yeah, great to be excited, and represent Canada. So let's go.
Well, and let's touch on that real quick, Will. So, Canada is that giant thing on the map just on top of the United States. Where in Canada are you located?
I'm presently in Alberta, which is, if you go straight up the map from Arizona, you'll basically hit me.
Okay.
A lot of people who are not around the northern border think we're so far away, when actually Calgary, which is about 45 minutes south of here, is only a 2.5 hour direct flight.
Oh, interesting.
Vegas is 2 hours and 15.
Wow.
So,
oh yeah.
it's we're actually a lot closer than a lot of people think. And so I'm in Alberta, but the family is actually out on Vancouver Island in what they call the Canadian Hawaii place, and I get to join them in about 2 weeks. So extremely excited.
Yeah, I used to live out near Seattle for a little while, and I knew quite a few people that would go up there to Vancouver for a visit. Not Vancouver, Washington. They'd go up to the actual Vancouver, as we'd call it.
Mm-hmm.
Cheesy, you're in Regina. We know what that rhymes with.
Yeah,
well, yeah, no. So we've got a little bit of snowfall coming along. That's good. For those of you that watch the Steelers Cleveland Browns game where the snow was just hammering the guys on Thursday, that's pretty common for Canada. I think they looked at that and probably thought, oh, it's a home game. And I know here in Iowa, we're holding off on we had one little dusting of snow, I'll call it, but usually snow won't start hitting here until December. So we kind of still get that white Christmas. That song still makes sense in our heads, but not so much for Hamo. It's sunshine and warm for your Christmas, isn't it? You guys probably hate that song.
Yeah, it's yeah, no, I don't mind it actually. Yeah, we're about a week away from summer officially starting. So at the moment, like today was a beautiful around 27 degrees Celsius. I'm not as smart as Will. I don't know the conversion there, but yeah, no, it's really funny, the whole Christmas thing and all of that, because of the difference. It's bloody hot over here and it's beautiful and snowing over there. So it's crazy.
Great. Well, you can tell that I'm doing basically everything I possibly can to avoid talking about this team to start this show, because we had 3 games to set up this week, and we lost all 3 of them. Played the Minnesota Timberwolves to start, where Julius Randle broke our heart after it looked like maybe we had turned a corner and figured out how to actually play without 2 of our big 3. In the end, though, Julius Randle shoved poor little Josh Okogie to the ground and traveled with the ball and then hit a 3-point shot. We followed that up with a matchup against the Orlando Magic the very next night, where Paolo Banchero was out. So, hey, no power forward for them. Definitely would have a shot in that game, right? Nope, we lost to that one, 109-99. And then, hey, the New York Knicks are coming to town. They're down some players as well. And we gave up 138 to 122, as I said in the 6-pack of Jake's takeaways. I'm real glad that Royce O'Neal, Josh Okogie, and Ryan Dunn were able to play, because then we would have given up a lot more than that 138. So let me just start off with a question for you guys. And this is definitely, I've realized, quite much a hat tip to Suns Jam at this point.
Richard, what's happening?
What is happening? What is happening with this team right now? We started off very hot. What was it? 8-1, 9-2, something like that. And then since then, just completely fallen apart. Obviously, injuries are the biggest factor, but let's go beyond the injuries a minute, because it's just maybe too easy to just say Kevin Durant is out. Bradley Beal's been out for most of that. And we'll talk, give me your answer before we hop into each individual game. And Will, you're our guest. Let's start with you. What do you think is plaguing this team to start the season? Or excuse me, not to start the season, because we started well. Plaguing them most recently.
Without, like you said, Jake, injuries, 2 superstars out, it's challenging, but it just seems like the team just is nervous without those players. And so even Royce O'Neal, when he plays, he can be hot and he can be streaky, but sometimes when he shoots the ball, it looks like he's actually really nervous to shoot it. And I think that seems to be with some of the players. And I think it's really tough when you expect Booker to go nuclear, and he does, and then you choke in the end of that game. But I just think lack of playing together, lack of confidence, and it that loss hurt, but it's not surprising that we struggled in some of these games.
Mm-hmm. Hamo, what are your thoughts? What's the what's happening to this team right now?
I still prefer the Matthew I'd love to ask. But
Much better than Richard. What's happening?
no, I like that too. It's just like Matthew, I've got to ask. I'll just dig it.
Yeah, I don't have that skill set. I just pull from movies I like.
No, look, obviously I don't know exactly what's happening, but my main concern at the moment is just Devin Booker, man. He just does not look like he is comfortable with his position. Not his playing position, just overall. It's just he's having literally the second worst season in terms of points per game since he started in the league. So I don't know, man. It doesn't seem comfortable. Doesn't seem right. Something's not working, and it's not like there's something brewing behind the scenes or anything like that with the coach or with the management, anything like that. It's not like it was last year where they don't want to play for the coach, but just certain little things, man. Why aren't we using Bowl even when we're down by so much? Why aren't we using Booker more as a primary scorer? So I don't know, man. Hopefully they get it sorted out soon, or else it's going to be a really ugly year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I think for me, my takeaway so far is that Book has been asked to do some things differently. I mean, if you look at a shooting percentage, it's certainly down, but it's not the worst he's ever been. In fact, his first 3 seasons in the league were worse in terms of shooting percentages. So he's doing that, but he's also still playing a little bit of point Booker. He just, thank God, doesn't have to take the ball up the court every dang time. But plus, I think a lot of Suns fans, as I kind of pointed out on, elsewhere, is forget the decade of despair that the Suns went through before we started getting good, when we only had Devin Booker and we were rolling out guys named like Cannon and Ulyss and all these other random players to go play with Devin Booker. And it was the Devin Booker show because there was nobody else capable. Right now, we forget sometimes, I think, how top-heavy this team is with Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal as well. And we've been missing Nurkic for some of these games as too, in fairness. And we are kind of seeing, hey, Devin Booker, you're the only star. You are the only one that can do anything because we know that Tyus Jones is not going to go off for 30 points on a given night. Grayson Allen, if he hits enough threes, can do it, but he's not really – he doesn't hunt his shot so much as he hunts his threes, but he's not looking to just, score any way that he can necessarily. I think we have a lot of very good role players that excel in those roles when at least 2 of the big 3 are on the court at the same time. So we've got some really quality role players, but when we have to ask them to step up and do a lot of other things, that's when I think you start to see the old Suns, the decade of despair Suns, where it's just, okay, Booker's the only one that can do so many other things than a lot of these other players. I mean, when we have to rely on Ryan Dunn to hit a lot of shots, don't get me wrong, start of the season, we are glad that he actually has a 3-point shot. That's fantastic. At this point in the last week or two, we've been saying basically, Ryan Dunn, why can't you get us 20 points? Maybe it's a little bit too much asking for Ryan Dunn. We're just happy that he hits threes at a regular clip, unlike Josh Okogie, which was like always close your eyes every time he was going to take a shot. Exactly. McShuttlenuts, our fellow Canadian, gets the point right. It sucks right now. God dang, it's painful. Hopefully this is just, doctor's medicine. The guys will be back. I mean, we have to remind ourselves how fast we started 8-1, and it was against good teams. We had one of the hardest opening schedules of anyone in the league. I think we were second or first in terms of hardest opening schedule. But let's talk a little about these Minnesota Timberwolves, because god dang it, I hate them, and they're my next door neighbors here in the Midwest. So Minnesota Timberwolves, as I mentioned, who – yes, they were the ones that swept us in the playoffs last year. Scored 120 to our 117. We were actually up in this game. Really, let me take a quick look. the
There's a lot
entire
of
game
interesting
pretty much
stats.
until like I think their basket to win it was when they took the lead for the first time, if I'm not mistaken. I could be, but that's kind of absurd. I really thought we had figured this one out a little bit more. Devin Booker goes off for 44 points, shooting 15 of 29, 6 of 13 from three. Definitely no more food poisoning in the system on that game. Tyus Jones chipped in a double-double with 13 and 11 coming through. The Timberwolves, if I would have told you Rudy Gobert only has 11 and 10, you'd probably think we were off to a strong start. But, there was, I don't know, rewind the tape, Hamo. You said Julius Randle was not going to work in Minnesota, and he came out, and for at least one game, he worked in Minnesota. 35 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds. He was 5 of 11. I didn't even know Randle had a shot from three, really. He was not doing that too often in New York. But 8 for 9 from the free throw line. He really put a lot together. Anthony Edwards started pretty slow. Finished all right, though, 24 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists against us. So what were some of the takeaways from the game there for you, Hamo?
If you do a deep dive into the stats there, we really outplayed them in every single facet of the game except for turnovers. We had a higher field goal percentage. We had a higher 3-point percentage. We had a higher free throw percentage. We had more rebounds, more assists. Sorry, blocks they beat us into. It's really just kind of crazy that we can outplay a team that much and still lose that badly. Getting back to the Julius Randle, I just thought his ego or pride would stop him from performing well in Minnesota. But no, there's usually a transition period when there's new players introduced to a roster.
Yeah.
With the moving on of Karl Anthony Towns to New York and the changes that they've made, they bounced back pretty quick. It was kind of seamless almost.
Mm-hmm.
So they're a good team, man, and they beat us. That's all there is to it.
Well, we also noticed this was the first time, maybe one of the few rare times we'll see it again, although I'll be curious to get your opinion, that the Suns rolled out the twin towers of Mason Plumlee and Yusuf Nurkic into the starting lineup. Good idea? Bad idea? Just an idea?
Little surprised. I guess at this point, why not? Again, this game, as Hamo said, we really had it. We had the stats show that this game was really well played until the wheels fell off in the end. The good thing is we don't typically have done that in the past when we've been good. We've been finishing out. So, but yeah, it's the Plumlee and the Nurk experiment. Why not? Why not see what it does? I don't have a problem. I throw Bull and them out together. Let's see what we can do, because we don't need scorers. We need rebounders. We just need a Dennis Rodman who can just monster the board and kick it back out to KD or Booker or Beal, who I hope are just coming off screens and just launching and having reserved energy to just destroy everyone in the fourth quarter. So, why not? So, I thought it was okay. I don't know how it worked out statistically, but I know game-wise, I thought until, what happened? And we can't let games be decided by refs, because this team never gets the nod.
Yeah.
So we have to win.
Good call.
That. Booker's an example. He never gets to the line,
right,
as much as other players do, which is ridiculous. I mean, I love Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but Booker should be on the line more often than him, in my opinion.
I feel like that. Yeah, I feel like I see Booker get laid out so many times, and I think they're almost too used to seeing him get laid out. Is why they act like they don't want to call it. But you're 100% right. I mean, I was certainly as frustrated with the refs. So that final play, I wish we had a clip of it here, but we don't for this week. And I apologize, Planeteers. But basically it was an inbound pass to Julius Randle, who it looked very clear in every replay that he shoved his forearm straight out. Josh Okogie went back, ended up maybe exaggerating a bit. He ended up on his butt, but Randall's a much bigger guy than him too. And Randall was able to basically take a step back and hit a very deep three to win the game. So the refs actually went back and in their, was it 2-minute report is what they call it, I believe. They announced that there was no push off on the play. However, there was a traveling, so the shot shouldn't have counted either way. Of course, this means nothing in the grand scheme of things. It's like saying, hey, sorry, I pooped on your lawn, but you still have to clean it up. So it's you don't get bonus points. You don't get credit that you could store up and be like, excuse me, you admitted you made a bad call last game, so I'd like to turn in this for one free foul call on Booker to start the game. So that's the unfortunate thing. You can't leave it to the refs to hopefully call the game right. We aren't very lucky in getting those calls, so it's kind of like in football. I often mention it too. When people are like, "Oh no, the kicker missed a 40-yard field goal," shouldn't have let it come down to a last-second field goal to have one guy just have to put it through. Now, granted, that's their job, but if you're always just, "Oh man, that guy's a terrible kicker," well, why didn't the team do better to try and make it more competitive?
Stop letting him kick.
Unless it was 0-0 and or 0-2, and that was the chance to win the game.
Yeah. Is there, not to get distracted on, but is there any other sport where you have to be perfect in your position?
Exactly. Yeah. No, exactly. So it's that's a great point. Like in any sport,
that's the best thing I've heard.
Johnny McEnroe in tennis. Yeah. Maybe don't let it come down to a ref's call. You don't have to smash as many rackets that way. Can I just say this though? Most punchable face in the NBA. For me, it's now Anthony Edwards has surpassed Luka Doncic. I don't know if it's just because the Suns have been beating up on the Mavs earlier this year, but Anthony Edwards is he's like the Trae Young right now. I feel like of the West. He wants to play the villain. He wants to score a basket and then be like, "Ooh, oh yeah, you guys can't guard me." And then I'm just like, "Man, knock him out. Knock him out." I think it's ever since I saw that Adam Sandler movie Hustle. But you guys tell me, most punchable face and why I'm right.
No, there's a fella playing out of Brooklyn. Well, he's not playing, but he's on the team in Brooklyn.
Oh, he's playing. He's having a huge comeback here. You better be ready for that apology tour.
No. That's the most punchable. That's the most. Man, motherfucker looks like a polar bear crossed with a meerkat. You just.
Poor Ben Simmons is the horse that has been dead for 5 years, and Hambo would rather go kick him than be like, "Yeah, I can't stand that Anthony Edwards guy." He's like, "Where's Ben Simmons at?"
Yeah, I'll find him.
Didn't you at one time kind of say at peace, "I'm sorry, Mr. Ben Simmons," and now we've come circle again?
Yeah, I think I was drunk that day. Sorry, man.
Fair enough.
Will, who do you got? Who's the biggest villain right now for you in the NBA?
I never realized it until my dad pointed it out. Anthony Edwards is just an ass. He doesn't score with class. He's just an ass. And sorry for those that like him or whatever, but I prefer people that win with grace, and I think that includes Kevin Durant, that includes Devin Booker, and I think that's why the Suns make them who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'll never forget Anthony Edwards thinking that he's part of a D-Generation X and throwing the suck it sign down in the playoffs. And I kept thinking, you're not a great offense. You're not an amazing offensive weapon, but you're the best offensive weapon on a defensive heavy team. I feel like if he was on the Suns, he would be the fourth best scorer on the team with a healthy Beal, Durant, and Booker. I think Edwards is good on defense, and I think he's a very strong, competent player overall. but I feel like offensively he's a little bit more limited. But in the grand scheme of what Minnesota is running, he is the offensive threat. A little bit now with Randall, but it's tough to be a big man and be the go-to offensive threat. This is an interesting one. Cheesy McShuttlenuts. I feel like I've seen this a few times where some sports fans are starting to turn on the golden child that is Giannis out in Milwaukee. I mean, I know the Bucks beat us in the finals. I get that. I feel like I actually kind of always liked Giannis. I thought he was a very classy player for the most part, but is he becoming a bit of a dirty player? Is it just or are Suns fans just kind of over the Bucks after they broke our heart?
I think he's just getting shitty. He's not happy with the way that the team overall is performing this year. A lot of talk about him going. A lot of talk about him going to New York, which is incredible. But
he would hate New York. I feel like.
I think he'd embrace anywhere he is, but he's. They should really be much better than what they are with him. They were already good, and then you add Damian Lillard in there. It's like they should be much better.
On paper, they're very good. But Dame Lillard, I think what we basically witnessed with that amalgamation is one guy that was the team pretty much in the Portland Trail Blazers, Dame Lillard, and Giannis, who was pretty much the team in Milwaukee. I mean, again, very strong supporting role players, but I think when they swapped out Drew Holiday and brought in Dame Lillard, they basically brought in two alphas that are excellent at doing maybe one or two things.
What they do.
But they can't move that style to something else. Giannis is never going to become a strong jump shooter. Dame is never going to play defense at this point in his career, and he's only going to get worse. He was never very good at it. He was an elite offensive player, but you're talking about a guy who's only going to get older. He's not going to get any bigger. He's not going to get any stronger, and he can't keep up with people. He can still put the ball in the basket, but you already have other options for doing that. And so, I actually kind of always just think that what was the coach's name? Adrian Griffin? Was that the coach last year that got fired after only winning like 60% of their games or something like that, or 55% of their games? Either way, it was some coach got let go, and they brought in Doc Rivers, and Doc has done terrible. So I'm just always imagining that other coach is sitting back just being like, can't wait for somebody's going to give me a call and say, hey, you actually had these guys winning for a while.
Doc Rivers has made the best career of being one of the worst coaches ever. Honestly, I don't know how he's still in the league. That's
true. Actually, I feel has he won a title?
Not as a head coach, I believe.
Okay. Well,
maybe.
I don't think he did. But I could be wrong. But anyway, let's move into
someone help us out in the chat.
Yeah, let's move into game number 2 of this week. As I mentioned, the Suns losing to the Orlando Magic. Magic were down some players, but it did not seem to matter because they have a guy named. This is where I wish we were doing our Suns visit to Germany again. Franz Wagner. But they actually were down some players too. As I mentioned, they were down Wendell Carter Jr. and Paolo Banchero. So basically their entire starting front court didn't seem to matter. We ran out a Twin Towers lineup, this time with Oso and Plumlee, as Yusuf Nurkic had hurt his ankle, changed the record on that one. But he had hurt himself again in the previous game. So Franz goes off for 32 points, shooting 12 of 14, 4 of 8 from 3. There's another guy I didn't even know could hit a 3. I'm going to butcher his name. I think he's from Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. Goga Batadis. 17. Well, he got 17 and 10. He was a big guy, and somebody pointed out he looked like a very tall Ricky Rubio running around out there for the Orlando Magic. That was a bit of a throwback. And the Phoenix Suns just looked. I don't know if discombobulated is the right word. Everyone looked like they didn't want to be there. This was, of course, the second night of a back-to-back coming straight out of Minnesota back to Phoenix to play. The leader in scoring for the Suns, Tyus Jones, with 18, 8 assists. Booker and Grayson Allen chipped in 17 apiece. Rough shooting night from Book, 5 of 14, 1 of 7. So I guess, I know it's going to be like a broken record on this show, but the Suns, there was no Paolo. There was no Wendell Carter Jr. There was no front court to be scared of, really. And the Suns made Goga Batatis, whatever his name is, look very scary in doing that. So I don't know. I kind of like the Orlando Magic. What about you guys? I'll change it up a little bit. You guys, if you had an Eastern Conference team, who would it be right now? Who's fun to watch?
Go with Will.
I like, I agree with them. Because I'm in Canada, we get heavy TV coverage of the Raptors.
Oh, sure.
I just kind of like to see they don't win a lot, but man, when they do click, they're kind of a little bit of a fun team to watch with some of the youth, and Scotty Barnes is fun. So in that regard for me, because I rarely get to see, even though I have NBA Pass, not always I get a chance to watch all the games. So yeah, I do know they're good. I don't know, other than the fact that we just decided we're not going to show up at this game and really put much of an effort. And that worries me because we knew they were down players. And that's the part where I'm like, something, I was a non-starter and I had a chance to step up and show, look, man, when you need me, especially when we're in the playoffs and we need to rest our starters or we can't have them play 48 minutes a game or whatever it is, we just have to do that. So
that's a great point. Yeah, the Suns started Oso Ighodaro and Ryan Dunn, for a quote unquote weak draft class. And I know we've been very excited about the rookies we got in, and they've showed a lot of promise. But having to start both of them in your starting lineup with Plumlee at center and Tyus and Book,
you got more than they bargained for, right?
I think so. I think they like coming in against those second unit guys and showing off a little bit more. But what was your takeaway, Hamo?
Look, it was a mild clusterfuck, to be clear. It just didn't. It's not working at the moment. It's just not working. Like it's not embarrassing. I'm not going to be one of them fans or anything like that. I'm not. We're down. You take two superstars and one really good player out of the starting lineup from any team, and it's going to be a juxtaposition. You know what I mean? But it's just shit. It's not sad yet, but hopefully we can turn it around before it gets there, because the Magic are a really good team, young, good team, and even the way that they turned it on yesterday against the Lakers, that Wagner with his final dagger there to seal the deal, and LeBron doing his normal thing, just walking off the court and not saying anything to anyone. If he was a Pistons player, he'd get in trouble for that. They're a good, hungry, strong team, man. So we deserve to lose that one. That's all it was.
Well, I will say this. We did have a sighting of a very exciting player, according to Suns Twitter.
Look!
It's Bol Bol.
Playing nearly 6 minutes, Bol Bol came in, got 1 point.
Did well.
That was it. Not a rebound, not an assist, nothing else.
Across the whole team for stats was about
Yeah.
50 points.
So he's a plus one.
And his hope that he was going to come in and breathe some life there towards the end. And this is what I'm seeing. Suns fans saying, "Hey, play Bol Bol." I actually am supportive of Bol Bol in certain situations right now. Inbounds at the end of the game to win the game. We saw that a little bit, I think, with Frank. where put him on the inbound man. It's a lot more difficult to get a clean pass into your shooter when you've got a 7-foot giant sitting there waving his arms trying to block any inbound pass you got.
And Bowl was part of the magic as well. He played with Jonathan Isaacs. You know, like when you've got someone the size, the length of Isaacs out there, why the hell wouldn't you have Bowl out there?
Well,
It
I was
doesn't make
surprised, yeah,
sense.
because we did run like I said, that twin tower lineup out, but there was no use of Nurkic, which meant Plumlee and Iguodaro played the bulk of those minutes. And then when one of them wasn't on the floor, we did not replace like for like. We went much smaller, and would roll Royce O'Neal out there, Ryan Dunn as some of our bigs. So Bol didn't get a lot of playing time, like I said, just about 6 minutes. But yeah, and kind of as Cheesy's getting at, give him a shot. Everyone else is hurt. What do you got to lose at this point? We've seen Ty come out in a game. We've seen Jalen Bridges come out in a game and get some run time. So I will give some credit to Bud that he has tinkered with the lineup. It's I'm not. I went on the. I was an anti-Bowl crusader last year until I had to go on the apology tour myself, and then I reverted back to my Bull is not right for this team. Maybe not right, but that he is definitely a third unit player. But at this point, I'm with Cheesy. I will gladly go on another apology tour of Bull if he can play well. So give him a shot, Bud. But hopefully we'll talk towards the end of the show. We might not actually even need him. But real quick, Will, I saw you crack something open. What are you drinking there?
Well, drinking Molson Canadian.
And see, let's bring him into the club, ladies and gentlemen.
What's the name of that nightclub of yours again?
You talking about the Boom Boom Room?
Yeah, the Boom Boom Room. That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome into the Boom Boom Room, and I'm gonna little audio visual stimulation. There we go. A little Sam Adams Winter Lager is what I was able to gather.
That's
real quick.
foreplay in Australia, mate.
God dang right. Yeah.
I have to tell you that you just marked off a bucket list thing. Always wanted to be in the Boom Boom Room.
Hell
God
yeah.
dang right. Yeah. And hey, you didn't even have to pay extra. It
Boom.
pays when you know people.
That's exactly what it is. Excited, gentlemen.
Well, let's start off, Will, real quick, because this is going to be kind of like a power segment for you as Hamo and I pepper you with questions. But let's start with the basic one. We've already seen some comments about how sweet that jersey is, and it is very nice. So let's start kind of there with, how'd you even become a Suns fan? Why the Suns? Actually, let's back it up even further. You're not from Canada. You're not from Arizona. You've lived in both places. You're living in Canada now. You are from New Caledonia?
That is correct. That's where I was born.
Okay.
Which is just north of Australia. Hamo should know it.
Is that its own country?
Yes, but it's a territory of France. So it's kind of Canada's kind of like a colony of the UK still, kind of.
Right.
Commonwealth, yeah.
Commonwealth, thank you. Yeah, as Hamo and Australia are still, right? Correct? Yeah. So we're brothers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Hamo loves his royal cousins from across the pond.
there you go. Oh yeah, we're brothers. No, Dad was working overseas in New Caledonia. Mom came over to visit, and I came early. So boom. But after a year, Mom moved back to Canada, and Mom and Dad moved back to Canada. And so when I was 7, 1975, Mom and Dad and my dad's brothers and their families moved down to Tempe, Arizona, which is right where ASU is. So we're about 4 miles from Arizona State, which, by the way, I have to say, go Sun Devils. We're going to kick the shit out of the Cougars today. 1:30. Don't miss it. Let's go. Fear the Fork. Anyway, sorry about that. But yeah, 1975,
Wait, is that what you guys say? Fear the fork?
Fear the fork,
Fear the
baby.
fork.
We're finally ranked, and we're real. We got a great record. We've got an exciting young team. It's really fun, and that's what happens with ASU and Pac-10. You may get a team that after like 4 years together, they actually can make a run. We're making it early with a new coach. But anyway, sorry, this is the Sun show. But 1975, moved
No, we
there
love it.
in Tempe, which at the time, surprisingly, we were actually out in the desert in 1975. And so we were like, I think the first 3 houses in the desert there. There were streets made and where homes were going up. But anyways, now we're in the middle of the freaking city.
Yeah.
And you're like 40 miles that way, or not. That's an exaggeration. But yeah, we're in the middle. We're landlocked as a small city, but yeah, there's massive metropolitan around Tempe here and all of the Phoenix area. So anyways, yeah, 1975, living there, Arizonan, and just love sports. Dad was away a lot, but still he was a sports fan, so love sports, love Phoenix, and got into the Suns real quick. And with Alvin Adams and Westfall and sweet Walter Davis, baby.
Sweet D.
We do.
You're calling back to the founding fathers of the
Well,
Phoenix Suns.
I may not look my age, but I'm old. I'm kidding. So yeah, I go back to the.
You see, it's all that snow. It keeps you preserved. You know, it doesn't allow you to age up there.
You know what it is? The gray melts in with the background.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So Phoenix Suns fan as a kid, listened to Al McCoy all the time with games. It was just awesome. As the city grew, so did the fan base. And, and we would always get to go to games at the Madhouse on McDowell for nothing because it was cheap as cheap could be. And that's the NBA before Michael Jordan, and they actually had players actually didn't make money.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the
And they wanted to sell a product of full stadiums. Yeah.
Oh, really? And then the 80s came. And so anyways, yeah. So Adam Adams was my favorite player when I was first a kid. I've always had because I'm 6'.
The Oklahoma Kid, right?
Yes.
I read a book once.
Part for the big guys. Gotta tell you, always have.
Okay, yeah.
So
I'm with you.
Alvin, but then came along this guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kevin Johnson, and with Barkley, and that team was spectacular. And yeah, so if it wasn't for the freaking 80 Lakers, gosh damn it, we would have so many freaking championships. It's unbelievable. And Hamo knows that, not putting anything down with Michael Jordan, the greatest Tar Heel has always been worthy, in my opinion, as well. He killed us. That whole team did. But anyway, so yeah, Kevin Johnson fan, lived through the 80s of the pain of the Michael Jordan in that team. I put them up against the Kobe teams any day and say, let's go when you really go down the roster. But KJ fan and Barkley. And we used to watch it was good because the cable and Al McCoy were on the same time frame. There wasn't this delay here, depending on how you were watching it or streaming it. So we could listen to Al McCoy and watch the game in the same time, which was great. So we were able to do that. So yeah, that's how I became a Suns fan. Always have. Always followed them when I moved up here in '91 to go to university. Still follow the Suns every single year, pain or gain, and some fun, especially with like the Nash and especially the one with the Chris Paul years. So yeah, it was Suns fan through and through for sure.
Well,
It's
and so
incredible, man. You got to see through all the generations. Well, not all of them, obviously, but you got to see through basically every stage of our as Suns fans collective life. That's really cool, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, lucky to be old.
Well, I told people I brought it up on the show, and before the book the little team that could and darn near did. Was about the Alvin Adams team, and that went up against the Boston Celtics in the first NBA Finals for the Suns that we ended up losing. But that was a fantastic story, a fantastic book about learning about some of the OGs, the founding fathers of the Suns franchise. Then, of course, you got the Barkley era, where we fall just short again to the Chicago Bulls. I think deservedly so. The Nash era, the Nash Stoudemire era, even though we didn't get a finals run out of it, was still pretty historic. And then, of course, what will be probably in the end referred to as the Booker era. Going up against the Bucks and hopefully, having lost it, but then hopefully getting some other opportunities here very soon, hopefully. But we'll see.
Oh, yeah.
But so fair to say, though, Will, Kevin Johnson, favorite player of all time for the Suns?
By far, I'd have to say, without a doubt.
Nice. Anything specifically? Because you said you're pulled towards some of the big guys. You like some of the bigger power forwards and centers of the franchise.
For someone who likes the big bang game, like I love, like when people say the GOAT, I always think basketball was originally the physical game, and then it became the art game, like a ballet, which Jordan. So I see that as two separate questions for like who or categories. Mm-hmm. But Kevin Johnson just brought everything that Michael Jordan did in every aspect, including Michael Johnson. He just didn't quite have the other pieces to real. And there's the part of my worry about the Suns this year. We didn't have the bench. And so, in the Nash years, we rode our starters to death until they got injured, like D'Antoni. That's a little bit my worry. But yeah, Kevin Johnson, just the way he was able to create. He's had a beautiful mid shot. I think and in light of the Magic Johnson and of course later Michael, he just never got the credit he should have. And when you really see the things he did, he was special, and he really, of course, being a Suns fan, I didn't care. I loved all the Suns, but there was something just about him, and he had a killer instinct. And the thing is when we went into those final minutes, we actually felt we had a chance. Mm-hmm. Damn straight. We got Kevin Johnson, and we got a point, and he's a point guard. He knows how to facilitate, and that's what I have to say. Really, with today's team, is unlike last year. I think the reason why we couldn't find a coach is everyone said, how did you expect me to coach a team without a point guard? Mm-hmm. No other team in history has ever won a championship without a point guard. So how the hell do you expect me to do it? And I think that's really what happened. Like if you look at, you're asking Devin Booker to play a position he's never played in his life. As a player, you ask him to be a point guard. Are you serious? Mm-hmm. No, he knows how to come off screens and make the most beautiful freaking shot in the world and sink them.
Hell yeah. So now that's a great point, because like Booker's playing a different position right now too, right? He's playing small forward when essentially when Durant and Beal are in the lineup. But it kind of always makes me chuckle because I'm a big NFL fan as well, and when I'm watching the NBA draft and everyone's getting excited, and they'll say something like, "Well, he played right guard in college. It'll be interesting because this team definitely needs a left guard. So how will he adapt to that?" How will he adapt to the exact same position that's just to the left? That's like going from shooting guard to small forward for Booker. But, he played right guard in college. Now they're going to need him to play tackle or tight end or something like that. That's a little bit more, okay, Booker, go play point guard. And it's like, oh, my role's different at this point. And so it's a little bit different when you're out on the wing and you don't have the primary ball handling requirements. You can still be the go-to shooter and scorer as a small forward or shooting guard when you are playing essentially the point book role. And that kind of bounced around a little bit last year. It was sometimes Beal, sometimes Booker, and I was always terrified when it was Durant because he got stripped so often.
He had a bad run.
Guards, they're not ball handlers, and especially with our team getting a little bit older, and even though Booker's still in his prime, mm-hmm. You don't want to have them exert extra energy. You need them to have the spring in their legs, the spring in their shot, especially Kevin Durant. when they get near the end of the game, you want them as fresh as they possibly can be. And what you don't do is have them bring the ball up. And I really see that with the addition of Tyus Jones, we're going to see our point, and I think our stats may show it. I don't know. I'm not a stat guy. That's why I rely on you guys. But I think our turnovers.
Kev's not here.
But I think our turnovers have really come down.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and that's going to be huge because we don't have Kevin Durant, like you said, carrying the ball and trying to create stuff when that's not what his job is. And we don't need an exhausted Kevin Durant out there in the last 5 minutes of the fourth.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I see a lot of positives when there's some health there, but yeah.
Well, let's talk too a little bit. I mean, you said obviously, there used to be two, at least two, in my lifetime, NBA franchises in Canada: the Vancouver Grizzlies and the Toronto Raptors. Now, just the Toronto Raptors. Talk just a little bit about like what NBA fandom in Canada is. I mean, I see Toronto fans are always showing up. I mean, you got Drake out there yelling at DeMar Rosen, and it seems like you're pretty proud of the fan base. I watched a little mini documentary about how the Vancouver Grizzlies were never really set up for success. It was kind of a sad story of just mismanagement. But what do you think is the attitude of basketball in Canada, and do you think Canada needs another franchise?
Good questions. Okay, for sure, the Vancouver Grizzlies franchise should have been easily a success. It was absolutely a mess. You cannot. When you look at Canada, what people don't understand is you got Vancouver and Toronto, and you have Montreal. Those are all three international cities. Like the Rolling Stones, like one of their favorite cities is Toronto. It's international. It's like going to London. So you have huge population bases. So if you had a team there, like you had the Grizzlies, they really had an enormous fan base, even across the prairies, which of course everything's hockey, but you still have basketball fans. And of course, then you have the Toronto Raptors, which have stayed. Originally, I could say when I showed up here, it was always similar. The Michael Jordans, whoever was the taste of the time, I've seen more Steph Curry jerseys, and I like Steph because he's a class guy and he can really play ball, but I'm tired of it. I'm really tired of it. And so,
oh, here's a good one. Nick Shuttle Nuts wants to know, do you think it could be the Regina Sasquatches?
Yeah. What is it? The Moose Jaw, whatever. So,
yeah.
But the Halifax Mooseheads or whatever. But anyway, so question. So it was all originally the big teams and the big name players that you would always see jerseys, which included Jordan and the big name players, including Magic and LeBron and Kobe, tons of Kobe, of course. So as the NBA grew, so did the fandom in Canada. So in the big cities, you really see a lot of NBA, more, of course, larger population, more interest. But, even in the prairies, you still see it. And we will get an NBA game where, like, the Raptors will come to Calgary or Edmonton, and it's sold out so fast, like, good luck. Because it's a great sport. And even though Suns fan, heart to heart, that magical year when the Raptors just, with the Kawhi trade and the gamble and everything, that was a cool ride. It really was. It's kind of like this, right? It's your team first, then country, right? And of course, Suns fan, of course, I would much prefer the Suns, but being Raptors country, it was great to follow. And actually, when they were making the run, there were little, like you saw on TV, Jurassic Park in Toronto. They called it Jurassic Park, where the fans were. Those were all over Canada. Even
right.
Small cities of less than 50,000 people.
It was a cool time.
They were showing the game, and everyone was drinking and having a great time, and you were just watching the game with people, and there was no charge to go in. It was just there. Like, I took pictures with my kid, and this kid with this giant raptor costume on. It was like, so the whole country went with it, and it was a kind of a great ride, and it was fun, and it was really awesome. So as far as the NBA, it's really huge. It's live. They need to absolutely get a team in Vancouver without. And even I would, it would never happen, but you would think of some of the bigger cities in the prairies, like even like Edmonton and Calgary, and even though hockey is the holy sport here, they're all sold out all the time. And people out here, other than winter sports during winter, there's not a whole lot you can do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that getting out to like a basketball game, and that I actually think there would be good representation, but I think let's start with Vancouver. So, but the NBA is definitely strong here. You definitely see tons of Nash jerseys because of being Canadian.
Oh yeah.
You see the Suns reps, which is nice. And being directly above Arizona, a lot of people from Alberta vacation there. So you see a lot of representation, jerseys and T-shirts and stuff all the time up here. So which is really cool because, you're seeing the fan base grow. So
Yeah.
It's NBA is live here. There's no doubt about it, which is great.
That reminds me a little bit of they were talking about on ESPN some years ago, and they said, why do the Miami Heat have a hard time selling out games, or why do the the LA Clippers, it's LA, they should have plenty of people in town that want to see a game, and I think it was Stephen A. Smith or somebody at the time said you have other things that you can do. So you have to decide, do you want to go to a Miami Heat game? You might show up late and then leave early because Miami Beach is calling your name. But then you look at the teams like Milwaukee Bucks or other, sports franchises, Green Bay Packers in Green Bay, Wisconsin. You've got the Utah Jazz, always seem to have good turnout. And I think it's something that kind of you were getting to there, Will, is that, in some of these maybe colder climate areas or, not even because you mentioned some very big metropolitan cities though too, but just, you don't have the beaches, the nice sandy, warm beaches to go out and just kind of relax. So everyone likes to get together. It's kind of like a community thing to go out and celebrate. And it's a form of kind of that community celebration in general, just that, hey, we're all going to go watch the team play. We're all going to go out and support the team, so that you see pretty strong attendance records. People are always like, gosh, why would, I know, for example, like my girlfriend's from Venezuela, and she'll sit there and be like, why are there so many people at this freezing cold football game in Cleveland, Ohio? And I'm like, because the Browns. And she's like, but they're not even, their record's terrible. And I'm like, yeah. And that's why the guy has his shirt off, because he's just going to go out and have some fun. They kind of want to do that. So real quick, Will, and I'm asking you now as soon as you took a drink, so I apologize. But no, is there anything is there any Nazi type history in Canada that you're aware of in terms of the national anthem?
That you said that, Jake, that's got, that was your best episode. I have to tell you,
shockingly, it's our most popular, too, and I'm not happy about that.
Second time, because I see your guest just sitting there, and he was a good listener and was very well spoken. But I'm sitting here thinking, why is he taking so long to comment? I'm like, I'll tell you why. Jake brought back old Germany. Let's go. Anyway, so we did.
I've never seen yeah. I basically felt like it was I was essentially like clapping at a funeral. Like I just didn't understand what was taking place, and I was like, "Oh, celebration!" And everyone's like looking at me like, "What is he doing?" But anyway, let's go to one of my favorite national anthems real quick. All right, we're going to stop because that buffering is terrible, and I apologize about that. But there was nothing in there that I could tell about any like terrible history or like type of oppression that you guys were committing. Is that correct? That seemed like pretty positive stuff.
Very well done there, Jake. I do have to tell you, because we're in an ever-changing society here. They're changing the word from, or have changed the word from, Sons Command to Us Command. So it's more
There you
inclusive.
go. You know, hey, that's the one thing I like about international stuff. It's always
No.
changing.
Reflects any negativity whatsoever. We all recognize that it was once, it was sons and things. So no worries, Jake. Proud that you played it. Thank you.
Well,
It's a
we're
very
proud of you.
Commonwealth national anthem. They all tend to have a similar vibe, you know, with the Australian national anthem, with the Canadian, with the UK. They all have a very similar tone to them. So, but it's actually quite a nice national anthem. I do enjoy it.
We should hold that vote at some point. Who's got the coolest national anthems? We should have
Not
a
fucking me.
national anthem tournament on Sun's Planet. It's with all the guests that we've had so far. We've been all over the world so far. Actually,
It's
have we
down
been?
to two.
We've been to every
opinion.
continent. Yeah,
It's down to two.
not every
It's-
country,
it's-
every continent, but
Which
so we
one?
have representatives from every region.
Which one's there, Hamo?
It's definitely got to be the USA anthem or possibly the French.
Interesting. Gosh, I think ours is kind of meh.
You know, and
I love your anthem, man. I love it.
but growing up in Phoenix, Jake, I agree with you. I've heard people say, "Yeah, we don't like this as much as if we would have." I can't remember the other one that's very commonly sung at games now. So there was always like, "Yeah," which So it's interesting, Hamill, that you're like, "Yeah, that's the one I like," because I think U.S. there's a little hemming and hawing there, maybe where they're. So I think it's a great anthem as long as it's just sung with the majestic that it should be. Yeah, it's a great song. A great
Oh,
anthem.
yeah,
man. Bright Side of the Sun managing editor John Boyd in the chat says Antarctica. Yes, John. I don't know if you remember the science episode we had. The Sun's Planet visits Antarctica. We learned a lot about ice, and yeah, we deleted that from obscurity, so you won't have to check me for evidence on that one. But let's get back into Canadian culture.
All right.
So. First off, I'm going to ask a question that's kind of a shot across the bow a little bit here. And it's based nothing more on an assumption. And so I'm curious, Will, what you think. But is there an attitude at all of Canadians want to feel like they're not USA's little brother next door? Because I feel like when things are discussed about the US and Canada, there's a lot of, oh, yeah, that country to the north that, and there's almost kind of an assumption that they are very Americanized without their own culture. Clearly, you have your own culture. There's a lot of Canadian-centric stuff. I mean, you guys put gravy on French fries, the poutine, but which Hamo thought was totally something else when I first told him he wanted to get some poutine, but his woman was going to be very upset with him about it.
very upset.
It's not quite as good as Hamo's, but it's amazing.
But do you think that is there an attitude at all that Canadians sometimes feel like they live in the U.S.'s shadow?
It's interesting. I think Canadians don't think of it as living in the shadow. I think you're your country. You're proud of who you are. I think the biggest misconception about Canadians, because we're kind of not as boisterous, loud. And which is not, I don't have a problem with. I grew up in the States, and I think we should be loud and proud. And I thought I originally misunderstood Canada. And what I think the biggest misconception of us is that we're not patriotic and we're not Canadian, because we have a lot of culture and a lot of different cultures and identity.
You guys have kind of melting pot of late.
Absolutely, no different than the U.S.
Over
but
the last several decades. Yeah.
have to be Canadian, or like how the thing is I'm American, and I don't have a problem with that. But you really see that there's a real big pride in being Canadian, and so I think that we don't have that pride just because we don't talk about it all the time. Doesn't mean we don't have it. So I think that's a misconception. I don't think we feel like we're in the back of the U.S. I can tell you right now, when you're the number one biggest, baddest country in the world, you have a right to basically say, yeah, we kick butt and everyone wants that. That's why everyone's trying to get into the country. And I can get some people being fairly proud or even maybe a little arrogant about it. But something overall, we're kind of like cousins.
Yeah.
And we don't always agree on some things, but we're cousins. And when it comes to it, we got each other's back. I mean, it's basically been that way through history. So, I think Voida said once when I was asked that question, do you kind of just put up with us? And it's like, no, because we know that not everyone's a certain way, and you can't judge all of us from those that are idiots in our group. So, but yeah, no, I don't think we feel like we're in the shadow. I do know for sure that I've noticed that anyone that's along the northern border of the U.S., they understand Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And same as anyone that's on the southern border understands Mexico.
Right.
Anyone in between there really does, as the U.S. never emphasized, because I grew up on U.S. education, you never learned about Canada. You learned about every country, your own state, your own country, but you never learned about Canada. So that's actually a lot of people don't understand a lot about it. It's like we do have snow during winter, but if you go to Minnesota and you go to Wisconsin, like, so big deal. So do we. And I know my friends, especially those from Arizona that came up here, I brought up here, and we usually came during summer because it's nicer. They thought they would see something like crossing like into Russia or something across the border. It's like, yeah, no, man, it looks just like Montana that we just passed. So, but anyways, yeah, we're still close with the U.S. I really believe, and even though we don't always agree on all things.
No, I think that there's a great bit from Bill Burr that I remember back in the post 2016 elections. He was on Conan O'Brien, and Conan O'Brien had said, what do you think about all these celebrities that said they're going to get up and move to Canada because Donald Trump had gotten elected? And Bill Burr goes, "Oh, I hope so. I hope they go there." And he goes, it's not. He goes, there's this great misconception about Canada. He goes, it's not like Michael Moore's Canada where everyone leaves their doors unlocked and rides around on mooses and drinking maple syrup. And Conan O'Brien goes, he didn't say they were drinking maple syrup. And he goes, yeah, but that's what these celebrities think is Canada. He goes, there's this great misconception of that. So, but let's talk a little bit about some of those misconceptions. Let's talk about some poutine. Let's talk about Canadian food culture. I actually do remember I was kind of blown away. We always joke that this is kind of the Anthony Bourdain of Suns fans podcasting. And I saw him have an episode in Canada where they were drinking all these local Canadian wines and eating, local fishing and stuff like that. And I was like, whoa. I got to get up to different parts of Canada because that food and drink looks good. So tell us it's not just French fries and gravy and maple syrup.
It is not.
Damn it.
Trying to come up with a list of what's specifically Canadian is not that easy because there's not a whole lot of many. But we do have poutine. Hamo, unlike what Hamo thought that might be. It's actually which is our francophone French speaking province. They came there, I believe that's where it established, and they figured out, hey, we can serve shitty French fries if we just put gravy on it and cheese. So then the Canadian restaurants, I'm guessing, but someone figured out, yeah, we don't have to serve great French fries, just offer gravy on the side. So actually poutine has really grown into its own meal, not just French fries and gravy and cheese curds that melt that are insane. You now keep
I'm so hungry.
I feel my heart slowing down a little bit.
Pulled pork. This may be a different term. Jake, I know in the States it's often you have gyros or gyros or how it's. We have more of a Turkish style called a doner. And it blows.
Kebab.
It blows it out of the water, man. Destroys it. And
in Australia, they're called
great
doner kebabs. Yeah.
What's
In Australia, they're doner kebabs. It's like a after a very big night on the piss,
Yes.
you get one on the walk home. Yeah,
It's
terrible.
loaded with heated barbecue meat.
Mhm.
So yes, definitely after a night of piss, it is the perfect. But anyway,
Yeah, man. You get
that's
your
what our-
hummus and everything in there.
fries and gravy, so you can really have just a killer meal. And the places that do it well actually do the fries perfect, and then that's just some added things to it. So there is poutine. I do believe, though, this is not. We do take a tablespoon of maple syrup whenever we're sick. That's kidding. But maple syrup.
Oh, you got me for a second then, bro.
However, if you've never had maple syrup, your American listeners, mostly, please spend the $10 to get a tiny bottle. It is mind blowing. There's just sugar with water. Family or Old Mill family, not quite as good. So our maple syrup is fantastic. Poutine. Let's see what I got here. Back bacon, of course. Canadian back bacon.
Oh yeah.
Most people in the States have had that. Yes. Common, delicious bacon. Meats are very popular in most of the places in Canada.
You'll appreciate this.
How
Well,
are you so thin?
I hope Andrew is just being facetious. Canadian syrup is a thing?
Canadian syrup. We do have the Old Mill, yes, where it's water and several ingredients, yes. But yes, beaver tails, not quite what you think, Hamo, but let that sit for a second.
Hamo likes chasing beaver tail.
It's basically a donut.
Only one.
Shape of not a beaver tail, and it's got like whatever syrup and whatever you want on it. So there's that. We have I wrote a couple things. Nanaimo bars. Now I don't know if this is common in the prairies of Alberta because my whole family's originally from Alberta, but there seems to be a really strong knack of a whole bunch of bars or treats, desserts that people have passed on through generations. Like they could have weird different names, but anyways, this one's called the Nanaimo bar, which has got a chocolate on top and like a yellow filling. I don't know what it's made of. Also, I know this damn thing's delicious. So if you ever come across a Nanaimo bar, definitely don't pass it up. Even if you're like, what's that yellow in the middle? Anyways, that's kind of some of the food. We're Western, so it's like everything that's kind of we steal from other cultures. But I can tell you some things living in both countries, if this is okay.
Sure.
I have found now there's going to be some rufflings here. Canada has better candy bars than the U.S.
Ooh.
Oh, by far.
You think this is a natural sugar debate versus corn syrup?
Debate, but I put it up, Jake. I'll send you a Canadian Kit Kat bar, and you put it up in American. You tell me which one blows your.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what it is? We've really perfected the art of making something sweeter, and if it's bad for you, we figured it out how to make it really good. And so,
well, that's what. As you were naming the stuff, you're like gravy on fries, shaved meat, and wrapped up with the stuff. We melt some cheese on it.
How is he so thin?
Donuts, and I'm just like, this sounds like the American diet, but
but what else? Really, I mean, we have beautiful summers, and our winters. If you're into skiing, snowboarding,
yeah,
snowmobiling.
You got to add the calories because you're going to be cold.
It's all about food.
Yeah,
we have really good. Yeah, our candy bars. I have to bring several of them down to Phoenix to my relatives every year because they're just like, man, these are spectacular. So yeah, we got some pretty neat ones. I think someone sits down and says, how can we make more candy bars? And what we do, I think we put more sugar or whatever in it. So the other thing is potato chips. When I've lived in the US, there was only like outside of Doritos, which of course is its own category. There was very few options other than sour cream and onion, barbecue, regular, Ruffle, maybe a couple others. In Canada, they basically said, whatever the hell we can throw in a chip, we'll do it because it may make money. So we have turkey dinner potato chips, bulgogi beef, Korean bulgogi beef potato chips, and then of course some of the normal ones, which are more like ketchup, dill pickle, salt and vinegar. But oh man, someone was thinking about them. They got some good stuff there. So good potato chips.
Salt and vinegar is a staple in Australia. It's like the duck's nuts.
Yeah, our beer is really good.
Yeah, all right.
gosh,
I'm
yeah,
booking a flight.
We're pushing time, but I do want to talk a little bit about, more about this because my buddies and I still remember the very first time. I remember specifically we were at some club where the DJ had announced that they had a special on this beer called Molson Ice.
Molson Ice.
And we bought some because it was like $3 a beer or something like that on special. And it had to be some of the worst beer we ever drank. And we jokingly started saying, Molson Ice, taste the maple leaf. Lick the maple leaf. It was so bitter. Please tell me there's some better beer out there than Molson Ice. In fairness, Natty Ice, like anytime you see ice after an American beer, it's usually not as good as the actual like brand's anchor beer. So I always tell people the ice doesn't make it much better.
No, when they add ice, don't buy it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's in general. You know, like the standard beers, you know, like you say, your Coors Light, your Budweiser, our main ones, which is Molson and Labatt's and that. Yeah, just a nice strong lager, which of course that's what I enjoy. Mm-hmm. So it's a nice strong lager. I love American beers, but my Canadian friends say, please bring beer down because it was always a higher content in alcohol.
Right. You guys drink a little stronger.
Yeah. So
that's a Commonwealth thing.
Beer down there. They were like this.
Yeah. You know, speaking about mini documentaries earlier, I did watch, there was something about the history of beer in the United States. And it was basically when we went through when we tried to make alcohol illegal, and then try and bring it back, there was still a bit of a temperance movement. And so they didn't want beer to go above, 4 or 5% in the States. And so you see these huge marketing campaigns in the 70s, 80s, and 90s about the drinkability, the smoothness of American beer. And only until maybe the 90s and 2000s, you start to see these microbreweries take off. You see people like, breweries like Sam Adams come up, where it was, what if there's actual flavor to it? Drinkability is, you can drink it. It's real easy to drink. And everyone else, Australia and Canada is like, yeah, we drink it because it tastes good. We drink it for flavor. We don't drink it because, I just need something that's very easy to drink. We're drinking it to get somewhere in life. That's a little bit more.
And it's funny too, because one of the, it's sort of a question to you, Will. One of the transitions happening in Australia at the moment is a lot of people are shifting away from beer and going towards Canadian Club. Like we've got it on tap over here. So
what's Canadian Club?
It's
Canadian
a rye
Club. It's a whiskey, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know why I thought Australia had their own Canadian Club. Yeah.
No.
I know a CC.
Canadian Club.
My dad's old buddy always asked for a CC with a twist. Yeah.
Yeah. CC and dry. We got that on tap over here, man. Is that as popular in Canada as I think it is, or is it just us saying, this is a Canadian drink?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like Foster's is the best beer in Australia. That's what the Americans.
We don't sell Foster's in Australia. We make it, we import it, and sell it to other fucking idiots who want to drink that shit. It's fucking piss.
It's not quite to that level, but that's kind of what we think about Canadian Club. Canadian Club is a great dry whiskey. I love it because when I grew up in the States, in Arizona, you could get Bacardi, you could get the American bourbon, but when it came to Canadian, you could get Canadian Club, and that's what you could get for a Canadian whiskey. I still enjoy it. I think it's a great drink. The difference is, let me see if I did bring it. is then you've got Canada's nectar of the gods.
And see, that's what I've been waiting for. My old man, God rest his soul, passed just over a year ago now. But I'm as the Planeteers know, I like trying different drinks from different places. We've had the Spanish wines, Chilean wines, we've had the German beers, we've had just about everything from everywhere so far. But my father, when he'd come to visit me, I'd be like, check out this new scotch I got from this part of Scotland, or check out this new bourbon and all this. And he'd say, do you have any Crown Royal? I say, yeah, Dad, I do. Of course I do. Don't worry about that. But I've got, try this first. And he'd go, oh, that's pretty good too. I'll take Crown and a little bit of water. And so he would try everything, and he enjoyed just about everything as well. His go-to, Crown Royal, to the point where he was getting like the specialty bottles, the extra age and the harder to find ones. So Crown Royal definitely was the winner at the especially for Christmas parties coming up. My dad would always be like, everyone's like, I don't know what to get your old man, so I just got him a gigantic bottle of like Special Reserve Crown.
Your father is a classy man. Listen, it's a great drink. It's different because growing up in Arizona, you always hear about Jack Daniels and Jim Beam and the bourbons.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, the rye is different. I don't know how it's made different. I'm sure lots of people know out there the difference, how they're made. The rye is just a little different whiskey. I enjoy it. We drink it very similar to you would bourbon. You can have her straight up on rocks, which I prefer, or with a cola, or which is very common here is ginger ale, actually.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's a real nice flavor. So Hamo, I don't know if you like ginger ale or not, but if you put ginger ale with a CC, you'll like it. It's a good mix. So, Crown Royal is really good. Canadian Rise.
That's your guys' nectar of the gods. And as even McShuttle Nuts is pointing out, Crown is better than Bull. For anyone that knows Cheesy McShuttle Nuts, he's in every single Suns chat saying, play Bull more. If he's saying Crown is better, then that tells you how high of esteem the Canadians hold the Crown Royal.
Well, Harry, here's to the Suns anyways, eh?
Oh, absolutely. Well, let's see. I don't want to hold you too much longer, but let's see. Let's talk about real quick places to visit in Canada. Again, we've got a gigantic country, one of the largest by landmass in the world. And if we're going to be going for a vacation, just tell me. I want to go to Yellowknife, right?
Yeah. I've never been there personally. Okay. I've met people that have and seen things.
Help Hamo out. He has no idea that there's even a place called Yellowknife in Canada.
Yeah, Yellowknife is up in the Yukon. No,
sounds like Coachella.
Sorry, Northwest Territories.
Yeah. I always remember that of all the provinces in Canada, it was always just like, here's Alberta, here's Yukon. This is just some territories. We don't know what to call it. It's in the Northwest. Nobody lives here.
It's enormous. We're a lot like the U.S., where when you go to the coasts, you have seafood. You have more liberal thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Seafood-related menus, of course. We have large, awesome, like I said earlier, international cities. So Vancouver and the West Coast, just an amazing place to go see in general. And I think you said, Jake, yeah, it's only a 2-hour drive from Seattle. So you can go to Seattle and come up or whatever. Yeah. And then when you have on the East Coast, you have our Maritimes, which I've never been there, which I hear is just a whole different level of people.
And it's more French out there, isn't it?
At a certain part of Australia, it's like, yeah, them. But
Western Sydney.
A whole different way of how they do things, but seafood over there. And then, of course, you got Toronto in Ontario, and Ottawa is not just across. Mm-hmm. So beautiful cities.
Well, Will, we talked a little bit about it, but so Canada's unique, especially in some areas because of the French influences, and that's what Quebec, right? I mean, we've got Louisiana, which claims a little bit of French Creole, but they're still like write the signs in English and French in Quebec. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't know what year it was, but Canada said, yeah, we're bilingual. We get it. We have a whole whole bunch of people that speak French. It's, it should be okay that we have French on the Kellogg's box. So yeah, so all of our products are in French, English. Everyone was so offended. I remember originally, big deal. The only problem is when you see cooking instructions, you're like, oh shit, that's in French. So you're looking for the number and trying to find the English side. So other than
Google Lens, mate. Google Lens.
Yeah, I've been to Montreal. I didn't have a great experience because some people were just being silly and not nice. But you got great people everywhere, and so we kind of been. Some people, like where I live in Alberta, we're Texas, baby. We're oil heavy. We are conservative. Our premier believes that COVID was a hoax, basically. So
I think I've seen that, dude.
I know your types. Yeah.
So
you're my neighbors.
You're my neighbors, exactly. Yeah. So, but anyways, yeah. So you've got those areas as well. So
sure.
Even Cheesy is saying he's not a fan of Montreal. So I don't know. Maybe everyone doesn't like Bret Hart.
Yeah, because my wife was sick, and we asked someone, even in my broken French, where a hospital was or a doctor, and they just wouldn't speak to us. And it's like, that's not cool.
Oh, wow.
But like I said, I'm not judging the entire place by one person that was rude.
I am.
But great time. And the cool thing is the culture. Like when you go back to Europe and you talk about that, like you see some really cool European influences on some old buildings and that. So
yeah,
some really cool cultural stuff there.
The architecture over there is beautiful, man.
Yeah. One thing is with Alberta, even though we are primarily agricultural and oil, is that we do have the most beautiful mountains in the world. And I'd put them up against the Alps any day. And we have people flying all over the world, especially a lot of Australians come and work with their visas. And they're actually the ones that are instructing people how to learn how to snowboard here at Lake Louise and Sunshine in Banff, where a lot of people might have heard. So, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I know a lot of Americans too that, they hop on planes. They want to go deep into Canada for the best fishing that they ever find. And they said the most tranquil, sceneries that they can ever find that are just amazing. Well, I apologize, but because I feel like we could go for another 30, 45 minutes talking about this stuff, but I want to respect your time. Exactly right. So I'll leave you with this last quick question on Canadian culture. Mayonnaise on a burger. What's going on?
Yeah, it happens. I'm kind of like a meat, bun, cheese, and ketchup guy. So yes, it is common on mayonnaise.
My guy.
Goes. I don't know. Yep. It's there. I don't hear that.
It's funny, man. Hey, like I live in New South Wales, which is sort of middle Australia, and I went and worked up in Queensland, which is basically our Canada, but it's just a different state. And they put carrot on their hamburgers, shredded carrot.
Interesting.
And I was like, "The fuck is this?" And they're like,
"That reminds me. There's
what you don't have carrot." And it's like, no, carrot does not belong on a fucking hamburger.
There's some place, I want to say it's in Michigan, like a region of Michigan that's very big on putting crushed olives on a burger, which actually doesn't sound too bad. Get that man some CC real quick.
One thing with Canada, let you know, if you're thinking about coming up here, our dollar is crap. So I can tell you, as an American,
once again, the Commonwealth influence.
You come up here, you'll get 44 cents on your dollar. So when you come up here, you're vacationing for cheap as heck.
Oh, wow.
Prices are a little bit more than you may pay in the U.S., not much, but when you convert it, it is insane. Come to Canada. I'm telling you, man, during the summer, come to Banff, see the most beautiful mountains and lakes you've ever seen. If you like winter, come to the mountains here.
You got it.
And take advantage of the excellent healthcare too.
You know it. Yeah, we do. Anyways, I know it's that we could go down about.
I don't know. I heard you have to wait for like 10 years before you can see a doctor. Anyway, no, I'm not going to wait into the politics.
Only 10?
Well, let me ask you real quick, because I don't know if we're going to get another Commonwealth visit in on Sun's Planet before Christmas, but you guys have Boxing Day, and it's not the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight. That is what, the gift exchange day for you guys. So you celebrate Christmas, but is Boxing Day basically the Christmas without the Christian portions of it, or what is essentially Boxing Day?
You tell me what Canadian Boxing Day is, Will, and then I'll tell you what it means here.
Yeah, so it may be tied because like I said, I grew up in the U.S. most of my life. I may be tied to something European, with England, etc. It's just a day after Christmas where it gives you a reason to get together with all your friends and family to eat the rest of the turkey and turkey buns and have beers and watch hockey or watch, not hockey. Junior hockey and whatever's on TV. So it gives us another reason just to get together, but it's probably deeper rooted than Hamo might know. But yeah. And there's no exchange of gifts that I'm aware of.
Oh, I thought there was. Okay.
No, our family never has.
Okay.
No, we never has with gifts. We never exchanged gifts. It was always either depending on your family, New Year, Christmas Eve, or Christmas Day. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is this is going to be like the Germany episode. So
No.
I've just looked it up. Boxing Day is on which a day in which servants, trade people, and the poor traditionally were presented with gifts. To me, growing up, it was always, because it was day after Christmas, I always thought Boxing Day, it was getting rid of all the boxes of the toys.
That's kind of honestly, that's what I used to think it was. There's just giving more boxes of stuff away. But well, there you go. So just another get together where you can have some beaver tails and some, back fat and some gravy and
some poutine,
some crown with your buddies. But Planeteers, I won't delay you anymore. This was a fantastic episode, and I'm so glad we got to have our friend Will here because, yes, we ended up losing 138-122 against the New York Knicks. We're not going to talk about that because we've already belabored the point. It's been a tough go. We got to get healthy, and we will. Rumor has it Beal and Durant are looking to make returns next week. And so let me ask you guys real quick. We've got prediction time for the U.S.'s Thanksgiving week is coming up, and which Thanksgiving is October in Canada. Is that right, Will?
Yes, it is.
Okay, see? I know things, yeah.
Not because we have any history. It's not pilgrims. It's celebration of the harvest ending because all the farm, all the agriculture. So it's kind of ending and we celebrate Thanksgiving. I do believe we probably decided to do it once the Americans made an official Thanksgiving. I'm not kidding. But we have one. We have it in October. I celebrate both. So Thursday, I might be working on record, but I'm eating turkey and watching football and having a good time.
And that crown is going down easy. That's great. Well, we got a matchup on Tuesday with the LA Lakers. That's going to be on TNT, a national channel. And then we got the Brooklyn Nets. So we got a back-to-back after a nice long break. I guess we have to get right back to work. Brooklyn Nets on Wednesday. We do play the Golden State Warriors, but that will be after our next show on next Saturday. So, guys, prediction time. Lakers game, Nets game. What is the prediction? Let's go fast, and then we'll move to get out of here. And Hamo, what do you got for us? What's the prediction? And he dropped out. Okay, let's go over to Will. Will.
2-0.
2-0? You think we got it?
Boyd, 2-0.
I like it. No, I think we will. It's enough of a break. Hopefully, one, maybe both will be back by then. If not, I still think we can actually do it with enough rest and kind of scheming for this team. The Lakers game is obviously going to be the tougher of the two. But like I said, these guys could potentially be back for that Lakers game, and from what it sounds like, for sure by the game next Saturday. I'm going to go ahead and assume that Hamo also would have predicted 2-0. You can find Hamo at Sir Hamo on Twitter. And be sure to support our friends over at Bright Side of the Sun. The Dave King Night is managing editor John Voida talked about. He might have an opportunity to interview Alvin Adams for the Bright Side Night, Dave King's Bright Side Night. I donated to that earlier this week, so excited to do so. Yeah, you can follow me at Fallen Founder. Be sure to like and subscribe, share the show if you can. Will, where can they follow you if they want to keep in touch with you on social media?
I'm at Jericho at Exit the Warrior. I'm not usually a whole well on it, but that's where you can reach me if you wish.
All right. And Hamo, anything else to add before we go? I already mentioned your handle and everything.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what happened with the laptop there. No, guys, this has been awesome. Awesome once again. We've been friends for a long time. This is really cool to finally get you on here, man. It's been really, really fun. Guys, keep an eye out. There's game previews coming up. I've been slack the last couple of days, last couple of games. Haven't got to them, but game previews will be coming forward for every game coming up of the regular season and into the playoffs. Keep an eye out for the Sensual Salute. I heard he may be topless for one episode. So
when are we going to get you topless
Check
for
it out.
hanging with Hamo?
no one wants to see that, bro.
Is that Ammo's shirtless or guest or both?
You know what? If there's another person in the room, I might go full like Bert Kreischer and just I'm the machine.
Yes,
guys.
Will, let
like
me
and
double
subscribe.
salute you on this. One of our best episodes. I appreciate you stopping by. I apologize,
Loved
Planteers. We went over 90 minutes, but this was such a great episode. And as he points out, I grew up. I'm in Iowa, just north of me is Minnesota, borders Canada. And 37 years on this earth, I learned more about Canada in this 90 minutes than I have in my previous 37 years. So I appreciate it so much. Hope you guys all stay well, and we will see you guys next week. And if you're an American, enjoy that Thanksgiving Turkey Day. And if you're not celebrating thing, then pretend that you are, and like Will, and just work on Thursday anyway. Take care, and Al McCoy, take us home.
Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, stay with us as the Suns get set to shine here on their home court.
Here's Perry. Cigar Hurd. Here's the jump shot. Good. It's good.
Al McCoy with you courtside. Pumped up a three.
Shazam. He ties it. Hey, D.A. Al and Tim up here.
happy
Right.
birthday!
Yeah.
I know it's the ball, but happy birthday, baby!
Here's Cameron Payne out on top. Durant, three-pointer straight away.
Shazam. I just want to take this opportunity to thank everyone in this arena this afternoon, to all of those that are watching and listening on radio and TV. Thank you for allowing me to tell the story of the Suns for 51 great years.
That pretty much wraps things up here. And for one last time, this is Al McCoy saying thanks for being there. Thanks for being with us tonight. And from the Footprint Center here in downtown Phoenix, we'll just say so long for now.